All right, folks, we're back, and we're getting into game number 1, Abyssal Reef, JonSnow versus Drunkenboi.
I love having no regret in chat.
Oh, I missed it. What happened?
So I went over, like, maybe if Future had played a stable game, then he'd do okay. But apparently it was the exact opposite. He just 3-racks Reapered him all the games. So no regret, got cheese before he could cheese.
Nice.
I know. So I'm sure it's not ironic because no one's ever learned how to use that correctly, but it's something.
I'm just sitting here holding my breath for a second, guys. Okay, cool. We're getting to game number 1 in a brand new best of 3. Spawning here in the upper left side. He's a Terran player that's been around for a hell of a long time. I'm really interested to see how he's going to measure up here today, because I know back in the day, this guy would have actually been my favorite to take on JonSnow. We have the blue Terran, Drunkenboi.
In the bottom right is the red Zerg. He is Ice Gaming's JonSnow.
Actually, he went through a phase where he was calling himself Tiger for a while, I think, too, right? Drunkenboi, that is?
Oh, yes, you're correct.
Also, yo, big shout out to Solidus Dub. Not only comes at us with a 39-month resub, but a sweet, sweet tier 3 sub as well. Spams the fancy emote. Thank you very much, man. Saffron hit us up with a 7-month resub as well to say, better clear some space on the shelves because I've subbed as long as cheap wine is old. I don't know what that means, but maybe you should get some more wine?
Cheap wine isn't aged for very long.
Oh.
Very good.
I know nothing about wine. I hate wine. I hate wine and
Living
beer.
in Virginia with, like, parents that can afford to go to wineries, I think I have to know at least something about wine.
Well, there you go. What about the tannins? How long do the tannins rest? Quiet. Then we had Snow Python hit us up for 28 months. Who'd bitch now for 2 back-to-backs? You guys rock. We appreciate all your hard work. I hope I said that correctly.
I just imagine he's so paranoid, too, like, looking around the room like, who the bitch now? Who the bitch?
I read that. I was like, who-ba-dooby-doo, who-da-bit. Oh, okay. He'll just go with it. Screw it.
Good job. God. Okay, so you brought up Drunkenboi would be like the contender for JonSnow back in the day, but I already mentioned against his games against Caliber that, like, we just don't really know exactly what he's like right now. Back when he was Taiga, I distinctly remember him going for plenty of Hellbat all-ins.
Yes, he was a mech player, and it was all throughout HOTS when mech was like a million times more viable too.
Yeah. So that's mostly remember from his Taiga phase. From his Drunkenboi phase, which is, I guess, his wife. It's been kind of just like pretty regular Terran stuff. North Americans, I would say, don't have like too distinct of a play style. It is a lot of just looking at what the Koreans are doing, which is not bad at all. It's not a bad thing. It's just that it is like, okay, so like 2-on-1s of the factory builds, whatever Innovation's doing at the time, seems to be leading the charge a little bit more. But Drunkenboi did have that little bit of a, did some weird stuff. Like even at Heart of the Swarm, mech was, more common. It was still always a delight to see a mech player. It wasn't just the expected standard. So he might be playing a little bit differently. Already with his bunkers, a little weird.
It is unconventional for sure, but I guess it does actually reach some of the ramp and might deter you from running up through the other 2 paths.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't cover the ramp entirely. Like being at the bottom of the ramp would make more sense, but that's like an old school way of doing it.
Yeah, or against the because right now the bunker doesn't do anything except maybe deter a smaller ling attack. Like if they're really all inning you, I don't think the bunker is gonna hold. But if they're gonna like send those 20 lings through, then that might be enough of a deterrent, which is might be exactly what he would want. But if you're really afraid of like a true like ling baneling or something like that, you usually want it to be part of the wall or up against something. He's going Hellions anyway, so if it was anything ling based, ideally he would do fine against it and into Banshees.
Oh. So, question asked in chat for us was, of course, if you could have a superpower, what would it be? And I've answered this a million times, so my answer, of course, is to be able to read, comprehend, and properly pronounce somebody's name the first try. However, what if this came... My question for you is if you could have that superpower, Zamagrub, but the catch was you never pronounced it correctly ever after. Only ever on the first try.
On the first try.
Would you be okay with that power?
No, that'd be terrible. Because imagine just being like, "Hey, Jessica. Hey, Wambaka.
Hey, Jessica. How you
Hey,
been?
Josica."
See, I feel like you could get away with it still, though, because after you've done it once, you're like, hey, you. What's up, bud? Dude.
Okay, so I love the no-name basis that it transcends the no-name basis. Like, there's no-name basis where, like, you don't know their name, like, literally. So they're just like, I have no idea.
Hey,
but then
you.
there's a part where you're such good friends that you just never say each other's names. And it's really weird if they do. You're like, oh, okay. Anyways. I take invulnerability. Invulnerability. There we go.
Oh, that'd be your superpower?
I would, yeah.
Well, that'd be terrible, though, because if you ever had, like, an internal injury or if you needed surgery, you can never get it.
I didn't say an unbreakable skin. Not Luke Cage.
How does invulnerability work, then?
Like, everything about you is invulnerable.
Yeah, like your skin.
Maybe old age can kill you, but so are your organs, your tissue.
I'm just saying Superman's invulnerable, and he still managed to get a kryptonite bullet lodged inside him.
Yeah, kryptonite.
And they couldn't operate because
he's
his skin
not invulnerable.
Break...
He's just invulnerable compared to human standards.
Ooh.
Whoa. Yeah, thanks. I know a little bit of something. No, I want to feel like pretty safe. You know, I wouldn't have any super strength. I feel like.
Wouldn't you feel terrible though? Like, big, God forbid, you're on a plane, crashes, everybody but you dies. You'd have the worst survivor's guilt. You would always have survivor's guilt.
No, I'd still take being alive, and then maybe I could help not let that happen again.
Well, that's another part. What if you didn't want to be alive? What if you were actually so depressed that it would be somehow...
People who are invulnerable die of old age.
Okay, here's the next hypotheticals. Terrorists have captured your loved one, and you want to save them, but you can't, because the trade-off is you have to kill yourself, but you can't because you're invulnerable. Your loved one's going to die, and it will be your...
I'd drown myself.
You just sit at the bottom of the ocean, not dead.
I don't know actually how that would work. But, you know, ideally that would never happen. So I'm going to have to take the bad with the good, just like I do as a regular non-invulnerable person. But I was going to get into, not even StarCraft, fuck that. I was going to get into how, like, Jessica Jones is actually, for me, one of the worst superpowers to have. Only super strength and flying, I suppose, but, like, I don't really care about that. The fact that she can still die to a bullet, I would be like, I don't take that. Like, nah, that's not worth it.
You forgot her third superpower. She's apparently, like, really good at sex.
Well, I mean, did we confirm
everyday
that?
superheroes.
Okay, good. Okay, now maybe a little bit about the game.
Yes,
we did have a
double drop on the way.
Yeah, obviously it was nowhere near 2-on-1, right? The Helen Banshee phase went through, and it didn't do a lot. JonSnow was able to deal with it pretty effectively, but he might just be completely surprised by these double drops. It's really not that powerful for 7.5 minutes in the game, but JonSnow just not in position. He's trying to be.
I will say, it was impressive to see the Banshees, first off, warded off so easily. Like, JonSnow really did not take much damage from them, but at the same time, Drunkenboi also got away with them. These are usually units that get picked off and dead, and then they're not used for the rest of the game. Well, JonSnow looks down here for the more dangerous medevac drops. He's kind of letting the Banshees get away with even just picking off an extractor.
Yeah. Queen dies, not too shabby, still lives with the medevacs. Another drop to the north, too, on the 4th base.
And he's going to, very importantly, he's got that Hydralist in for this, too. Hydra's not fun to deal with, but they will prompt more Widow Mines, I think, than average. Although this one just scumbagged him out of half of his drop, and that feels bad.
It would totally worth getting from the high ground that Baneling nest while it's still building Baneling speed, but not on Drunkenboi's mind. I mean, he'd doubtfully ever be able to get anyways. He just ran into Banelings.
He just ate a bunch of Banelings, so it's going to be kind of the end of the drop. There's like one Marine left. Not a lot to be done with that.
No.
Sport Callers are such good anti-air guys. Oh my god.
Hey. They're really annoying.
I just enjoy that they attack fast enough that it looks like they're doing all this damage, and then no. I do kind of miss the days though where they were so absurd. You'd have people like Cats, and sometimes JonSnow, actually, from what I remember, do like that early Spine Crawler to pick, or Sport Crawler to pick off the Overlord Scout in ZVZs, and you'd be like, oh, that worked. That worked really well.
There's not really any maps that would facilitate that anyways. There's like an habitation station, or just send Overlord right across, gets there instantly. Yeah, those are good times. So Drunkenboi's aggression really did not pan out so well, but he still has about 30-40 army supply lead and decent upgrades. So he definitely still has a chance to do a lot of really good damage. With JonSnow doing what some Zergs are really bringing forward, I guess, which is going into Hydras after your Lings.
Yeah, Hydras are really, with that 10 health, difficult to fight. I mean, they were actually already pretty difficult for bio players in the first place, back in HOTS before they got a buff. But Widow Mines are still good one way or the other. The last splash damage can serve anybody well, but doesn't quite hit the Banlings, and now he falls back, loses some of the medevacs. Oh, and the rest of the bio to those Banlings.
Well, Drunkenboi, okay, first he's banking quite a bit, needs to recover that, but he's dealing with the counterattacks. He already has a 4th base, he's getting his upgrades, as I mentioned, and he has a drop in the main, so while the main attack didn't go so well, it ended up trading well enough that everything else still looks A-okay. Not great, not terrible, just A-okay.
Bottom right, a couple of medevacs escorted by a Liberator, but with Hydras here, oh no, this is not where you want to be.
No, it is not. Okay, well, luckily there's enough space back there that I can't do anything about it. Hydras are always such a weird choice to see. We are seeing it more, and it seems to be a lot lately from the NA players, but, I mean, they're weird because they got the DPS, that's nice, they got the anti-air, that's nice, but they don't have the mobility like mutas do. Well, so, when it comes to this stuff, it's annoying.
They actually do have quite, so it's interesting, right? Like that new speed upgrade on creep still hasn't been like valued, and I wouldn't say gives them more mobility than mutas at all, but they are more mobile than they ever were. And like, for me, I'm comparing to like the last time we saw Hydras be part of the standard composition was back in HOTS. They didn't have 10 health, they didn't have fast speed on creep. Now they have both of these buffs, and bio hasn't really changed. In fact, bio is pretty much the exact same that it was back then.
Yes, it is.
See, we can argue about Marauders, but you don't really use them that much anyways.
Yeah. Thank you to Vegas62A for the Twitch Prime sub.
Welcome to the Base Trade Brigade.
I noticed in TLO's mod thing, he actually
He reverts the health, yeah.
No, not the health, the health. Not the health and the Hydras, but the Marauder shots. But anyways, attacks coming in here. I don't think he... Well, he did know about the Hydras eventually, but... I think they went a lot of Widow Mines against him. They didn't work out so well.
So another thing that does work really well against Hydras is having 4 to 5 Liberators, but that's kind of, I feel like, a distant dream at this point. A lot of focus is going to the bio, which can work if they can get overwhelming amounts, but ooh, Widow Mines get shots off on these Overseers, and none left for the Hydras or Banlings.
Yeah. And the drop to the bottom, and Drunkenboi is still trying to get some aggression done somewhere, but every single time he sees an opportunity, JonSnow reacts really quickly. So, while this looked great, doesn't do so hot. Keeps him off his back to mac her up again, though, and his Drunkenboi's never really been concerned about his bases, now adding on a 5th.
Yeah, both players have been continuing to expand a lot behind this. I mean, JonSnow, I guess we haven't been talking a lot because it is, this game, the emphasis on Drunkenboi, his decisions after scouting, his choices to attack. JonSnow's done a pretty good job deflecting. He's not really overextended much, but he is off of creep now, which could be a bit scary. And he doesn't have that many Banlings with this, and if he loses to the Hydras, that's going to cost him a lot.
Oh, how did the Widow Mine not go off? Yeah. Drunkenboi probably should just retreat back into a planetary, let JonSnow retreat, and then wait for his 3-3 and a few more units, really. I think he actually has 20 more supplies, 3-3 is done. I think Drunkenboi takes some of these fights for sure.
Of course, wastes the fungal, and the Lings are just throwing themselves on top of the Marines. This is a pretty nice drop for Drunkenboi, but not enough to cause serious or long-lasting damage. This, of course, has been all off the back end of JonSnow, slowly getting to Hive and slowly starting things like the Ultralisk Cavern, 3-3, and even Adrenal Glands.
Besides the very first drop, every single drop or counter from Drunkenboi has been enough to pull JonSnow back from momentum. You know, he's had these momentum, he's about to crash into the natural, about to crash into the 4th base, and then has to retreat to deal with the drops. So it is kind of a balancing act too.
The other big part about the drops, though, is constant scouting. Knowing that it's a Hive. Knowing that Ultralisks are on the way. I mean, right now, if Drunkenboi was caught making like 13 Marines and 1 Marauder at a time, he would not be able to deal with the Ultra Swap. But because he has so many freaking Marauders, they can soak some of the hits from the Hydras, but more importantly, eat the Banlings and deal with the Ultras.
Still wants to split a little bit with them. There we go. Trying to now, even accidentally. Maybe not accidentally? I don't know. Can't tell. Picks up the Marauders. Okay, that was on purpose. But a drop to the 5th base, a couple units being rallied in south as well. I mean, there's actually action going on a lot of places.
I mean, JonSnow, regardless of how good or not he's doing, the fact is his resources lost is piling up, his army supply is falling down, and We'll see if the swap to the Ultras is worth it. I think if this whole time he had been continuing to produce more Hydras, more Banelings, there's maybe the bases that were defended, maybe the drops don't do so much. But if they invest in the Ultras, the time taken away to get these is just absolutely worth it. That might be enough to roll over and win the game. Regardless, Chitinous Plating finishing up as we speak, as well as 3-3. These Ultras are about as good to go as they can be. There's that Liberator production, by the way, 4 at a time now. Oh, that's through 3 different starports?
Yeah, 3 different starports. Yeah, Drunkenboi has really started to get that momentum. JonSnow not able to keep up with eventually against 1 or 2 drops has led to a lost 5th, as well as a couple of engagements going on for way too long. They had Chitinous Plating, it still just get absolutely shreked.
Well, Widow Mines went off, and
too.
On top of that, the Liberators just got a free fire. I mean, these are Liberators that don't have range. They took on the Hydras, they took on the Ultras, and Drunkenboi's now pushing back. Empty Infestors and no army. GG. You know, the question was going to be like, is Drunkenboi, you know, as good as he was, or at least in comparison? And the fact that he could take game 1 off of JonSnow is pretty darn impressive, gotta say.
Very impressive. I thought that was not just like the names going on it, but the actual game itself was a lot of action from Drunkenboi.
Yeah. This is, of course, the winners bracket semifinals. So the winner of this will fight against Panda Bear Me or Future. And that will send somebody to basically have to wait an hour or two in the winners bracket while we fall to the losers and follow up through there. But losers, contenders are still Juggernaut Jason, B-Lord, No Regret, Volts, Sleet, and of course any of the players up here in the winners bracket that can fall down still.
Mm-hmm. Nice to see that it's caught up though.
Yes, that is the biggest thing to look forward to. When we drop to the losers bracket, ideally you want to see like 3 or 4 best of 3s at most. Anything more than that means things have fallen behind, and it feels bad, man. But just waiting on Drunkenboi to join us here in the lobby.
And the readies. This is Ascension of Ire, and then Odyssey's gonna be the last one. These next 2 maps might be a little more difficult even for Drunkenboi.
Interesting message from JonSnow. Getting into this game. So he basically messaged me bit of a confession. I don't know how to phrase this. He's like, "Hey, as well, you know, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I left the stream open in another tab. Like, it wasn't open. Like, I wasn't listening. I wasn't watching. Like, I just don't want you to think that anything fishy was going on because I was on the viewer list. I've closed it now." And part of me's like, "Good guy, JonSnow. Thanks for letting me know, man. I appreciate that, and I'm glad to know that you're willing to not, you know, cope or fall to cheating and things like that." But the other part of me also wants to be like, "Dude, you lost the game. So if you were stream cheating, you're really bad at it."
Yeah, you don't really want to respond to the guy with, "Oh, I knew you lost."
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm trying to be polite about it. And it's lighthearted. It's not meant to be mean. But I mean, even if he did cheat, and I'm not saying he would, I've seen him play lands, guys. Even if he did, there's a huge delay on the stream. So valuable information like, "Oh, he's proxying a barracks," would come after it had already hit in game, and it wouldn't really matter. And that's why tournament organizers such as us use delays. Actually, before we introduce the players, I find it really annoying when people ask me, like, "Have you used the reduced delay feature on Twitch?" I'm like, motherfucker, we use like 3 minutes of delay. I don't get to reduce delay. I don't know what that means.
That's pretty funny.
But okay, folks, we are getting into game number 2. In the bottom right, he leads 1-0. He's the Terran, the Blue, the Drunkenboi.
In the top left is the Red Zerg. He is JonSnow.
Oh, and this is too cool. So 47 has just tweeted. I know I'd spoken to him about this. Here's the thing, guys, I need to explain to everybody before I link and share this. Zomgrub and I can't actually make any content that uses Blizzard IP outside of like casting games. So we can't make posters and cool art stuff that involve Blizzard IP because they're constantly scrutinizing us. Other people seem to get away with it because Blizzard's not regularly scrutinizing them. So I don't know where legality falls into this, but I told him, like, "Hey, if you print these posters, man, you have our blessings. Like, you can use our faces and our memes. I don't care. Like, I love this poster. It's the art he did that we got at DreamHack. So he's I guess ordered a sample poster and posted a picture, and it came out looking pretty swell.
Ooh.
So should I order more? Sounds like my vote is yes. And send me one, please.
Yeah, I need 2. My mom really wants one for her work.
I love that he tagged your mom in this tweet, too.
I know, I just saw that.
Didn't tag me, tagged BaseTradeTV, but you know, whatever.
I mean,
Nah, I know he
my
loves
mom's
this.
the greatest. My mom responded to him literally asking for one.
Actually, also, this reminds me, as we get into this game, I did mail out the Risk board game, the special care package, and the sauces, as well as I've handed over ownership of the BlizzCon ticket to the folks who won them all on that mega stream a few days ago, except with one exception. Rod404, I'll have to get in contact with him. Apparently by mail, at least through FedEx, I haven't checked Canada Post yet, but by FedEx, the cheapest possible option to send him the $5 bottle of sauce would have cost me $140-something.
Where the fuck does he live?
Across the pond. I don't want to dox him here. So anyways, I'm like, damn, I didn't realize how bad that would be. I'm going to try Canada Post. If it's like $20 or less there for like, it'll take a month to ship, fine. But if it costs too much, I can't afford to send that out, and we may have to just find a different winner. But everyone else has had their stuff mailed out, so woo.
He's living in the poor country that never gets any mail. Blankistan.
They live on an island.
Okay, still, I'm going with, you know, extremes here.
Their government is ruled by a queen.
Oh, come on now. Okay, come on now.
This could be anywhere.
Come on. Anyways, and he also can't enjoy the full experience of the chicken sauce?
Yeah, he's too busy drinking tea, I would imagine.
Damn you, Rifkin. Think of him.
I'm such a bastard. I never knew my dad. It's made me this way. I'm so sorry.
No, shipping's insane though. I'm like surprised it's that much, but
it costs like
a lot.
It costs like $80 to send everything else out, which sucked. Like 3 other packages, but
yeah. And I just got a Partouf back too, which is sad.
Oh, returned in the mail. That feels bad.
Not without a Partouf. Squishling, actually, if you're watching. Make sure your address is correct.
I was gonna say Squishling was here earlier. I know that much. So I'm hanging around in chat. Yeah, so sometimes when we send mail out, guys, like it won't go all the way through, and Partoufs are one of the ones we do get returned once in a while. So if you are a 12-month sub and you haven't gotten a Partouf yet, A, either submit us a request for the form in the first place, or B, ask for a follow-up because it's like, hey, it's been 5 months. Where's my coin?
Right. And we'll get it to you. So, Drunkenboi once again opening up with Hellions, but this time no Banshees and quicker into Stim. By the time his real aggression, shall we call it, hit, it was long past 5 or 6 minutes. Then the Hellion and Banshees are being dealt with okay. So, JonSnow went for a really quick Baneling nest, and I don't know if he's getting just Banelings because he thinks it might be a Hellbat attack, but with all these Lings on the way, like, I think he actually might be busting? But why would you put the Banelings on this side? Now he's getting a 4th base. I don't know, this seems like an awful lot of units.
He knows, just like No Regret, that none of the Terrans properly wall off, and Drunkenboi didn't for some time.
Actually, maybe... Well, yeah, okay, first of all, yes. But he didn't see the build. Oh, that's what happened. JonSnow only saw 2 barracks and a factory, which is too bad because the command center is literally right there. So it's still going to end up going pretty well, though. Like, these units that he definitely is going to need for these 2 drops.
Hellions also just got a really important deny. The Ling was moments away from scouting the medevacs, so you'll note that JonSnow is on the wrong side of the map, but not because he's ignorant and stupid. He just actually did not see this coming until... well, right now. So Queens are on the way. Banelings are moving back. Hellions coming from the south side. I think there's going to be damage done one way or the other.
Yeah. Being in this position, definitely want that. The Baneling counts. Like, Lings and Queens deal with 16 Marines and 2 medevacs. We all know that. We're looking at 2-1-1. But if they get in that main base fully unloaded, the Banelings make it so much easier. But Hellions might get a couple of drones. Yeah, worth it. We would not have done much else.
It's not just a couple of drones, though. We've fired a bunch of Lings to go with it. Well, 14 dead so far. It's not shabby. Take some of the weight off of these guys in the main with Stim. Perhaps they can get in the position. Get a cancel on the macro hatchery. That's nice.
Yeah, this is not bad, as long as he saves the Marines. By continuing to drop in the main base as opposed to trying to pressure the front, he is circumventing the Queens a lot of the time. Even though the creep strat is mostly joined up, I mean, queens aren't the fastest thing ever, so... That's some nice harass from Drunkenboi. He does have that third CC done, and you probably want to go to location, oh, there you go, right now. Which JonSnow will finally scout. After I guess his Overlord kind of missed it.
Oh, Ling. Come on.
No.
I guess he's a bit busy. Understandable. He's not looking down there, but that would have been a nice delay.
This is where the queens suddenly start like shutting them out of back. Be a little careful with that. But with JonSnow, I mean, like last game he dealt with everything pretty smoothly here. Maybe a little bit of a panic when army fully unloaded his main base, but now set to go with a 4th base already and upgrades similar to last game. Yeah, they're a little uneven. Drunkenboi is going to continue trying pressure. It didn't work. Like, it didn't work super well for so long, but it worked well enough. And then suddenly, 14 minutes, he was really starting to steamroll. But JonSnow not going to go with Hydras again. Going to swap over to the Spire. Definitely more dependable for catching the Medivacs. But also more dependable for, like, accidentally flying over Wood of Mines and Tax Marines. So, definitely one thing Hydras have over Mutas is that you will very rarely have them somewhere without protection. So they're usually going to be grouped with those Lings. Or Mutas, obviously, they're going to want to fly wherever they can. Okay, so problems with Odyssey, and Odyssey, which might be the next map if Drunkenboi loses here. But Ascension to Ire is that it is a very long map with a very big open space in the middle. So if JonSnow, once he does get the creep spread going in the middle of the map, which takes a long time because you got to creep spread to your other bases, which are very vertical, then it's just gonna be like hell to actually clean up. So keeping it low while you still have the map control is definitely good.
Well, rip all the tumors. Drunkenboi is a really good surgeon.
Looks like SCZ to be full in the main base. A couple Lings that ran past there, or the third, whatever which one. Drunkenboi has those 4 Medivacs, as talked about, but the Mutas might change that up.
Don't drop here!
Yeah, that's some shift command right there.
The drop on the main could actually be really good. There's an exposed hatchery. I mean, there's not a lot of tech, but there's just also nothing here to defend. The whole army's clumped up down south. These 2 Medivacs are looking for the opportunity to move in. So even if it's just focusing down a macro hatchery, it's still pretty good damage. But the Mutas are out, and he's got to be careful about how long he stays as he picks up to fly away. Unloads over here in the middle lines directly, so despite the fact that there's a lot of Lings waiting for him, he still gets some decent trades through this. Another attack pushes from the south, and Drunkenboi's in like 3 different locations, playing like a maniac.
Yeah. JonSnow's trying his best to keep up, and for the most part is going to take care of this main force. Not too delicate about dealing with the Wood of Mines, but deals with them, deals with the Medivacs as well. Actually, he doesn't have an Overseer. Oh, okay, those Wood of Mines not going to take a shot. Dealing with the main base, and finally JonSnow can take a breather, and this is probably the most worrisome part for Drunkenboi, is now that JonSnow has gotten that map control back, it's going to be hard to make his way across the map again with just trickles of units. So going to that 4th base, waiting for his upgrades. Two command centers even, so... No, I was... wait. Oh, okay, yeah. I thought maybe that was an extra, like a 3rd extra command center, but those are just barracks. So 2 extra command centers, really playing to that late game. I think this is what you really have to do. I mean, playing this map is hard, but even watching Terrans play this map after a certain point is also very difficult. And it seems that once their time of control of Medivacs is over, you just kind of play to that very late game. Hope they either overextend or you're able to catch them transitioning with a max out bio army. But anything prior to that, like this push out here, is a little bit dangerous, because it is a very wide open space.
Well, I guess, maybe before we had seen the effect of Ultras in 3-3, it is a concern of mine that JonSnow is not going to be able to keep up here. The Infestation Pit's only just begun, and by the time Hive's done, I think 3-3 will be well done for the bio here out of Drunkenboi. Although it is a completely different composition this time around, so you can play on layer for longer with Mutas being the key element. He does have a lot of mutas, 16. Bentley's starting to run over a lot of this bio. That's getting scared for Drunkenboi. He's got a double drop going to the main, but this also might just run over everything back at home.
Oh, yeah, they just, well, yep, that seems to be what the case is. A couple Woodamines sitting around. But they're not going to get the devastating shots needed. Tear up Muta, but that's not what he needed. Main base drop is concerning, I suppose, for JonSnow.
Yeah, coming back home to defend this, I feel like he's going to lose a lot of the momentum he had at the front lines, and I think one of the biggest things he could have done was killed all of these barracks. If he still does it with the Lings, kudos, but at this point, Drunkenboi's lost so much. 22 SCV's dead was rough. He's going to lose a medevac here to the Glaive Worm.
Yeah, that's wondering that was going to happen.
Call it the Grave Worm, am I right?
Hey. This is unrecoverable. JonSnow didn't take any damage while dealing a lot of damage to Drunkenboi, stalling out this 5th command center, but more importantly, just taking the supply down so much. I mean, if Drunkenboi takes a bad fight, he has 5 bases, production, he could recover, but he took a terrible fight, and he had some of his production lost, so... I guess JonSnow apparently lost his spawning pool. That's the time that Drunkenboi is going to have to recuperate, but down 100 supply.
Also, need to know for stream, because again, we've been having audio hiccups here and there. I think this problem is local to my headset because it might be low in power, but are you guys hearing the sound kind of just like distort when Zombie was talking over the last few comments? Because if it's buttery smooth, then I know what I need to do. If it's not, then we may have a problem. Either way, things are now tied up 1-1. Nice job by JonSnow to bring this back. I'm going to go to a quick commercial break, though, while we wait to see if you guys are hearing the same problems I'm hearing or whether we're good to go forward. We'll see you guys in 2 minutes. Okay, we're back, and in the lobby for Odyssey, 3rd and final map in the series, and it looks like people are saying it's smooth on their end, so I probably just need to plug the cable in directly on mine, so I'll get that sorted while we load in the game. Got it right here, of course. It's just underneath a bunch of other cords. Let's get in the game first. I'll fiddle after. Oops. Alright, problem should hopefully be averted as we get into game number 3. Things are tied up 1-1, and in the bottom right, he plays for Storm Gaming. All around good guy. It's the Red Zerg, JonSnow.
In the top left, as the blue Terran, he is Drunkenboi.
And Tom's taking off for the night. I don't know if you'll still be around to hear this, but I hope you have a good night. Thank you for joining us today on the stream, man. It's always good to see you in chat. Also, cool update news. I brought up the t-shirt thing earlier. Would you like to know how many t-shirts we're at now, Zombie Grub?
What were we at before?
49. So like literally 1 under the goal.
What are we at now?
49, so go buy a t-shirt. No, I'm just kidding. We're actually at 52 now, which is awesome. So we've got 4 days left on the campaign. And this is now enough to make me try and convince them to let us run another campaign later in the future. I really like the design of this shirt. This is something that I don't think we'll be replacing anytime soon. But if new ideas come around, guys, sure to try and, I guess, entice them. The one thing I would really like to do, though, is find a reliable jersey maker that's not shitty like the one we use to rep the jersey. Actually, yo, didn't you get yours? You should show it off.
I did. I can't show it off. We'll do it after the game.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure, because the large they sent, or they sent,
trust me, Minnie's not the one who messed up on this.
Right. I mean, like, what did she do? Like, tailor her before she gave it to me? No, she, like, it's definitely a large. Like, it's a men's large. Like, it's too big for me.
She sewed it tighter. She's like, I remember, like, that one time I was at the LAN with my husband to be, and Zombie Grub was there. She beat me at StarCraft, maybe looks so bad. I'm gonna show her 4 years later. Sews like a shirt, so it's tinier than it should be. It's like, got him. Revenge exacted.
Oh man, I forgot about that. Dang, good memory. Yeah. So it's definitely a men's large. So I fear that the woman's medium they gave me was actually a child's medium. I feel like there's just too big of a difference between women's medium and men's large. Like, it's usually not that big as someone who's worn both throughout her life.
I'm a little bit sad that, and this is GSO spoiler incoming, guys, so here's like 5 seconds to shut your ears or mute the stream for a moment, but 3, 2, one. I'm a little bit sad that Beal's been knocked out of GSL. Hopefully through other events he'll get to show off the sweet jersey because he looked really good in it. I was really worried it would look bad on camera, to be honest. But I think like the one sleeve looked pretty cool. We didn't really get any back shots, but you can see the little BaseTradeTV crest on the front. It looked nice.
Yeah, looks like a jersey. Yeah, it is a little too bad. Maybe I'll take a picture with him. That grenade though.
Maybe the coach sitting there like spritzing the water in his mouth in the corner of the ring.
Like aiming from across the stage. If he was still on GSL, I wonder if I could like be like, hey, I'm totally a team manager, let me up on stage.
I gotta imagine there's gotta be some degree of something backstage pass or otherwise, I don't know.
I mean, they let a lot of people get up on stage with no regrets vlogs, so.
Yeah. Oh, that was a nice pick up on the Overlord. A supply block straight up from JonSnow, actually. That's gonna suck, because no Overlords are on the way right now. I guess maybe relying on the hatchery to finish, but that's still gonna sting.
It is. It is very,
Nobody look. Nobody look.
very oddly timed. At least it didn't last as long as it could have. Overlord's still on the way. Third CC on the way for Drunkenboi. Just getting a Viking to clear the Overlords for his obviously very good drop play. It just, I think the last game, and what might still be Odyssey's game, is just like, it really is difficult to get to that point where like your drops have been done and have been dealt with, which usually happens, you know, with the pro players is usually about how much damage can you do, not like, do you kill them or not, unless you're literally beyond renovation. And they get cleaned up, and then you got to go back to like the normal kind of like move out, rally, take good trades. Sort of the flow of TvZ as usual. And on such a map, like it's such an IR, it is so difficult to do so. So even Drunkenboi pushing out with like an okay army supply like we saw, immediately got steamrolled and pushed like way back. And that's still considered an Odyssey. Like it's a very different layout in the the middle, but it still is a very large map with wide open space. I'm surprised that, I guess Drunkenboi must have vetoed. Well, they each get 2 vetoes. Yeah, I don't know. Proxima or even Blood Boil. As much as I hate the map, I think for TvZ it might be better than Odyssey or Ascension Ire. Oh well. Got a frog in my throat.
Oh. Well, that would actually be really gross, frankly.
It would. I feel like it would be. I would be making much worse sounds than just a couple of coughs every now and then. No, I haven't had frog's legs yet. I feel like we almost got them.
Frog's legs und croque monsieur.
Croque monsieur? What the fuck is that?
No, a croque monsieur.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought you might have been trying to say. But it was very difficult to tell. Oh, this would have been a beautiful trade. Well, I guess it still is. The Hellions lived.
Yeah, can you just go touch this up? That bailing, like one more bailing though, could have made that devastating and unfortunate. Yeah. But I guess at the end of the day, you don't want to be trading them for Hellions. Keep this alive for the Marines. That's
it was really weird to see them out in the middle of the map. That was weird.
Well, that also leads to a very weird discrepancy because when we look at the units lost, it obviously doesn't reflect the resources lost, and that's the bailings going down the way they did.
Yeah. Have you had escargot?
I've sat next to people eating it and said no thank you.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured would happen. No, I was surprised at how like it really was like just it soaked up whatever was in, which usually people put it in like garlicky butter sauce, right? So it really didn't taste like snails.
It's like pizza crust.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, why not? It's a bit different in texture, but yeah. So I imagine frog's legs won't be so bad. But we had oysters instead, and that was a bad decision. I do not suggest oysters. Some people really like them too, and they taste like a harbor. Yeah, not a beach, like a harbor.
So yeah, you know that when you guys go down to the pier and you like lick the wood, that's what it tastes like.
At first I described it as a beach, like it tastes like a beach, then feels like a beach or a harbor, and I was like, oh, you're right. It tastes like a harbor.
Now, some people really like that taste. I don't like the smell. I don't like the taste.
So weird. Anyways, going a little bit too far forward on creep made it very testy, but then managed to find the security of his L-bats.
If he didn't have the fallback of these extra bailings, it'd be really weird for JonSnow right now. But he did get a decent enough hit and still has bailings to fall back to Drunkenboi won't easily run over this army, but he's got a lot of supply, and it's not going to be easy for JonSnow to get the connects that he wants, especially with the creep proceeding. Speed's only just recently started, so those banelings are not going anywhere fast anytime soon. Except for maybe the grave.
They're going someplace that's slow.
Oh my god, can you even bury a baneling after it dies?
No. Apparently it just evaporates as well as it explodes. Well, that was a pretty good push. I feel like it could have been a little bit better.
A really big scout with those lings running by too. He now knows about the double medevacs heading towards that main. The Viking hit otherwise cleared the way, so there's no overlords that would have scouted this. However, despite actually running underneath them, I don't believe JonSnow knows what he saw, as nothing has been diverted to the main.
That's bad. I do love that JonSnow replaced the overlords with lings spread around. But yeah, he just didn't notice. He was trying to counterattack. He got some lings in the natural. He was trying to defend his third base, and a lot of drones are going to go down. Sporkle are even be sniped. I think it is worth to save that medevac. Now
this is bad. Overlords are going to die. JonSnow's in a lot of trouble. He just sees all his banelings too, taking out basically a marauder and a couple of, I guess, marines and a widow mine. Regardless of drones here, it's actually more important that he doesn't lose army badly. Like, it's almost worth losing drones if it means you get a better baneling hit. Especially because he's on a gold base, too.
JonSnow might be in a, like...
Is he screwed for larva? Is that what's holding him back? No, he's got larva.
Well, he's got no spawning pool.
That's true. And he's got to wait for that spider to finish up. He's got he's actually can't make anything right now. Oh, boy.
It's a really bad spot. Like, he has so many minerals and gas that will bump his army supply very soon. But this must be the scariest point. Like, this might be the scariest point, but it's still scary, even once he gets his minerals spent, because there's a widow mines he didn't clean up, there's a gold base he has to protect the backside from. Okay, then he takes a really good trade. Okay. Drunkenboi distracted, pulling his SBs away from a couple of banelings I think at the third base. Cost him a lot of money.
He needed that hit, JonSnow, but even then he's still pretty behind. 44 lings on the way, he's using that money, he's using that bank, but still 800 gas. He's got lots for mutas. I think he's just held back by larva right now, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, has he not been injecting? He's been missing a couple of injects, but for the most part he's got a macro hatchery and a lot of base larvae, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Yeah. I mean, not being able to produce for a minute and a half will definitely give you a lot of bank. Trying to get to a fifth base, but this fifth base is totally just like, that's, well, that fourth base is a goner, but this fifth base is also a goner. It's not pretty big at all, and
expansions are just conjecture.
Drunkenboi has a very large army supply lead. I think he wins at this.
Yeah, it's looking like a little bit too much for our red Zerg at this point. JonSnow, fans of JonSnow, and I'm sure Scorpling's probably tuning in too. Don't worry though, it is double elimination. We're in the winner's bracket, so while a man and mule might come down to play, JonSnow will not be done just yet. He will just simply fall to the loser's bracket. Drunkenboi advances to the finals. He'll be going up against Panda Bear Me next, so another TvZ for him. Bottom side has not a lot of crazy results to report, but Sleet does kill Volts and moves on. No Regrets defeats ours, aka Hades.
Yeah.
It's actually some good matchups there in the loser's bracket for sure. But as per usual, guys, we're going to take a quick break for some ads while we roll things out. Double elimination means it's still going to go on for a while, and my guess, the way this is working out, we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 best of threes left at this point. If all things go according to plan, there's no downtime, no weird games. Maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours left on the broadcast, but we'll see what happens. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in. You should grab the shirt during the break.